What up, what up? It's Grant, and this video is going to be absolutely fire. This video is how to stop overthinking. Now, overthinking is the reason why so many people feel so much anxiety, why so many people feel depression. All the negative feelings that we experience in life usually is due to some form of overthinking. This is an absolutely fundamental skill that I'm about to share with you, and this is a framework that I've developed in my own mind that's helped me battle overthinking. I would no longer consider myself an overthinker because I have the frameworks in my own mind that help me deal with them, right? Back in the day, I was a massive overthinker. If you guys have watched my content for any amount of time, you know I used to literally have full day panic attacks for days on end that I did not know how to stop. And the reason I couldn't stop them is because I didn't have control of my mind. Now I do have control of my mind, so I paired with this framework, I do not overthink any longer. This is how I do it. Now, when it comes to overthinking, so I've named this video How to Stop Overthinking and Why People Explode with Ambiguity. If you don't know what ambiguity means, it means that you don't know what the answer is, right? You're dealing with uncertainty. Ambiguity means uncertainty. So when we start with overthinking, there's two categories. You have what I call your shit category, and you have real shit category. Now let's start with the real shit category because this one's much smaller. The real shit category is when you're when you're overthinking about something, you initially want to put it in the your shit category or the real shit category, right? And sometimes there's a gray area here and they're hard to pin in one or the other. But for the most part, these are easy categories you can start with. The real shit category are things that you actually need an answer to feel better. For example, health issues. Let's say you think you're dying of some crazy disease, right? Then what do you have to do? Well, you have to get some fucking tests to make sure that you're not dying of that crazy disease, right? You need actual answers. Once you have the answers from the test results that say you don't have the thing, now you got your answer, your anxiety will go away. Now, at that point, right, if you still start freaking out about the health stuff, even though you got the test results that say that you don't have whatever it is, now that might go into the your shit category because reality is saying, hey, you don't have anything, right? But you're still being neurotic and you're freaking out. So then it might drift into your shit. And then another one is money issues, right? If you're stressed about money because you don't have any money, well, you need to solve the actual problem. You need to actually make more money, and that's how you get over your money stress, right? You can't just hope and dream and meditate your way from money issues because money issues are real stress. That's an actual thing that is going to make you super stressed, right? So in the real shit category, that's when you're freaking out about something that you actually need an answer to and that you can get an answer to. You can make more money. You can get a test result, right? You can do these things. So you have to get the answer. Now, the your shit category is much larger because people literally explode when it comes to ambiguity. If they don't know the answer to something, they literally freak out. Like if a guy is texting a girl and he stops texting her, he doesn't know the answer why and he just goes crazy. Same if a guy stops texting a girl, right? So the your shit category is different things, like things that you think you said wrong in conversation, things you think you could have said better, right? Somebody doesn't text you back and you don't know why. Somebody responds negatively to you and you don't know why. These are the types of things that are in the your shit category, right? Or you think you have a health problem and then you get the tests that say you're negative and now you're still freaking out even though every test said negative. And the doctors are telling you that you're freaking out because you're a hypochondriac and you're like, no, I actually have something. Well, that might be in the your shit category, right? So both of these two things lead to ambiguity, aka you're freaked out about something because you don't know the answer yet, right? And people explode mentally when they don't know the answer. But here's the thing. Let's jump to the next category. A massive percentage of your life is ambiguity forever. All of life is not knowing the answer in the future. That literally is all life is. So if you can't deal with this one thing, you are literally going to be anxious, depressed, freaked out, scared for the rest of your life. So you need a mental framework to shut this stuff down or to at least get it under control, okay? So recognizing when you're overthinking and dealing with it is absolutely fundamental, and I'll show you how to get comfortable basically sitting in the unknown until it fades away. Here's how I do it. So with ambiguity, there's a couple different solves that I use. Number one, I articulate and I accept the worst case scenario. A lot of anxiety and overthinking happens because we have an infinite amount of options that it could be. We have an infinite amount of options that the thing we're worrying about could manifest into, right? It's literally infinite. And the more creative that you are as a person, the more options that you can drum up in your own mind to freak out even more. So what you want to do is you want to articulate the worst possible case scenario and then accept it. You want to just accept it. You're going to have to play some mind games, pull out some mind hacks to accept it. So for example, let's say I'm texting a girl and she just ghosts me out of nowhere, right? And I'm like, what did I do wrong? I don't know what I said. Oh my God, I'm freaking out. What did I say in the wrong thing, right? The way that I stop freaking out is I go, okay, worst case here, she never texts me back and I stop talking to her and I go talk to somebody else. I can accept that. I can survive with that. I'm okay. I'm alive. So, okay, that's cool. I'm not going to worry about it. Then gone. It's gone, right? Doesn't even faze me anymore. I've accepted it. So doing just that alone can cure a lot of the problems. Number 2, realize that none of this is going to matter when you're 90 years old. The thing that you said to the person that was wrong, the girl ghosting you, whatever, none of this stuff is going to matter when you're 90. You're not even going to remember it. So if you're not going to worry about it when you're 90, why worry about it now? If it's not going to matter in the future, it's not going to matter now. It doesn't matter, right? Why are you worrying about it? Also realize you only have one life. So it's not worth worrying about things that you don't know the answer to. Okay? The next one is super important, and these are very important. You're never going to know the answer, so choose the more positive option. So like, let's say a girl stops texting you, right? You don't know why she stopped. You'll never know the answer. So you have an option. You could either guess and be like, well, I think it was because I'm an idiot or because I'm stupid or I'm not good enough. Or it could just be like, well, maybe she had a fucking boyfriend. Or like, or maybe she was texting 3 other guys and my message just disappeared, right? There's positive options that you can be thinking of. And the truth is, you don't know whether the positive one or the negative one is right. So go with the positive one, right? Only worry when you're supposed to worry. Save the worrying for times that you should actually worry, right? Stop making stuff up and worrying about it before you actually need to. There's no point in doing that. And then also, this is massively important as well. Realize that your brain is skewed for survival. Your brain is skewed negative for survival. So what does this mean? This means that if you don't know the answer to something, your brain is going to pull out all the negatives, all the potential negative options that it could be, because it's trying to save your life. So you actively have to seek out the positive, because that's not a default setting in your brain. Because think about it, when it comes to survival, you could have 100 good things happen to you. Your life isn't going to change that much, right? Like you find a berry feast in the woods and you start eating all the berries. That's amazing. You lived another day. The problem is all the negative things, like the bears jumping out in the woods, the people with spears throwing them at your face and hitting you in the neck and you die, drinking poison water, whatever. All these potential negative things could actually kill you, could actually take you out of the game. So one negative thing, your brain weighs one negative much harder than it weighs a positive, because it's trying to keep you alive. So you can understand this and use this mechanism to stop overthinking, because you're like, oh, I don't know the answer to this thing, and my brain is going to put all the negatives in my face to try and protect me. This is just a natural protection mechanism, so I'm just going to ignore it. I'm just going to let it go, right? And understand those thoughts aren't you. It's a biological protection mechanism. So when you're overthinking all the different ways, oh, I got to do this and that, you're not the one thinking those thoughts. Your brain is, because your brain's trying to protect you. So once you realize, oh, this isn't even me thinking this is my brain going crazy trying to protect me, then you can literally just disregard it. You can be like, oh my God, my brain's crazy. I'm going to choose to think positive, and then just accept the positive option and move on. You just move on, right? Now, here's what you do when you deal with ambiguity. Number 1, you accept, you will never know the answer. You will never know the answer. Why did the girl ghost you? You'll never know. Why did the guy stop talking to you? You'll never know. What could you have said better? You'll never know. Why did you say the thing that was incorrect? You'll never know. Oh my God, I'm overthinking about everything. You'll never know, right? Like you won't know the answer, so just move on. Accept that you won't know the answer. If there's a situation where I don't know the answer and I can't get the answer, right? Like I have a health issue and I can't go get a test to give me a negative result, right? I have a test I have to take and I can't actually study more to do better to make sure I get a good grade on the test. If there's nothing I can do, you have to just let it go. Overthinking is not going to do anything but drain your energy and take away the one thing that you have, which is your attention. And so you can literally just move on from these things just because. You don't need a logical reason. You literally don't need a logical reason. So for example, let's say a lot of guys, and I like the not texting back example because a lot of guys get stuck in that. Let's say you're texting a girl and she stops texting you back. A lot of guys will be like, why? Why did she not text me back? I need a reason. Well, was it because of this? Well, because of that? Well, because of this? Well, I need this. Your brain wants to find a reason, right? But guess what? You don't need a reason. So you can be like, you know what? I'm just not going to worry about this because I don't want to do it. I don't need a reason. So you're leaving that loop basically opened, and then you're closing the chapter, putting it away and regaining your mental energy. closing the chapter and regaining your mental energy. So understand that you can put away open loops. You don't have to get an answer for why she ghosted you. You can just move on and realize it doesn't matter, right? What I do in that situation is like, oh, that's part of the game, right? Some of the girls aren't going to like me. That's part of the game. It's gone. I'm not going to think about it. That's just numbers. That's just part of the numbers game, right? So whatever you're worrying about, whatever you're overthinking about, realize that a portion of your life is going to be overthinking about that thing. So don't worry about it. Just shelve it. Just be like, oh, that's just numbers. That's just how the numbers play out. Not going to worry about it. And then you close the chapter and you regain your mental clarity. You move on. You move on from the thing. It's really that simple. It's all about recognizing that you'll never know the answer, right? When you don't know the answer, you're choosing, okay, I can think negative here or I can think positively here. My brain is going to skew me towards the negative and I'm going to say nope to that and I'm going to choose to focus on the positive. And then once I choose the positive, I'm going to accept it and then I'm going to move on. I'm not going to spend any energy thinking about it, and I'm going to let the cards fall as they may, right? It is what it is. It is what it is. You worrying about it, is it going to do anything? You worrying about something isn't going to fix anything, right? Your brain has an error embedded in it. It thinks, oh, if I worry about this thing, then it's going to then I'm going to fix it. If I worry about this thing and give all this attention to it, well, maybe it won't hurt me because I'm aware of it. No, these days that usually doesn't happen. Usually you're just overthinking because you're neurotic in your room and overthinking isn't going to do anything for you. So take your power back, take your energy back, take your mental clarity back and just stop worrying about the thing. I mean, it really is that simple. You don't need a reason to do it. You don't need a logical reason to stop worrying about it. You just stop worrying about it. Now, here's the solves. You need to know how to meditate. You have to start meditating because you have to become aware of your thoughts. If you want to know how to do that, I have another video on meditation. So literally, when you're overthinking, all you do is you see the thought. So you're like, oh my God, I keep thinking this is going to happen. Okay, well now I'm aware of my thought. And then you say, is this right? And you're like, well, I don't really know if this is true or not because it could go both ways. Okay, well I guess I'm overthinking now. So then let me choose the positive option that could happen. And then let me just let everything else go. So you see the thought, you let it go. You see the thought, you let it go. And then you realize that every time that worrying, anxious, overthinking thought comes into play and pops into your brain, you detach because you're not your thoughts. You're the observer of your thoughts, right? Your thoughts are like you're watching a TV screen. So you're just watching the thoughts go by and you're like, oh, that's kind of a weird thought. So every time those overthinking thoughts come in, you don't give them attention and you don't give them energy. Because where your attention goes makes the thing grow, right? Whatever you give your attention grows. So if you're going to give your attention to all the overthinking thoughts, you're just going to get more and more and more overthinking thoughts. You're going to literally bring that into your reality because you're focusing on them and you're going to bring them into your reticular activation system, which you don't want to do. So when you feel the overthinking thoughts creep in, you notice them, you don't react emotionally to them, right? You can even befriend them. Oh, hey, you're trying to protect me. Oh, hey, overthinking thought, I'm glad you're here because you're my defense mechanism for my brain to make sure I'm okay. Nice to see you again. Guess what? I don't want to fucking worry about you today. So you let it go. You literally just let it go. And then when it comes in again, you just let it go and you start focusing on stuff you want to focus on. Go watch your TV show. Go do your homework. Go start your business. Go spend your time doing something important because you don't have to spend your time overthinking. There's no reason to. So when the thoughts come up, you just say, oh, it's interesting. Brain's going crazy. Let it go. Move on with your life. You don't have to take these overthinking thoughts personally. You don't have to take these overthinking thoughts and attach them to your identity. You don't have to let ambiguity make you suffer. You just say, oh, won't know the answer. That's okay. I'm moving on. And then you just move on. So that's literally how I personally deal with overthinking. I use these frameworks every single day. They've helped my life out tremendously. And I've just found these through trial and error. Let me know if they help. Deuces.